Nurburgring is the scene of the final round of the 2018 Blancpain Sprint Cup. Weather set fair for a weekend. It's super tight at the top of the championship. Let's see how we got here. Looking at the highlights from the Nurburgring, where weather conditions were very tricky indeed. 3 laps behind the safety car before the field was released. Really tiptoeing down to the first corners, drivers not wanting to throw it away before they've even completed the opening lap. But the really strong racing in the opening laps was between the two Christophers, Haas and Mies. Bortolotti's car with Engelhardt at the wheel was leading the way, but it was the Audis that were running side by side. A few drivers slipping off towards the edge of the circuit, but actually the drivers did a remarkably good job, as you can see, in very tricky conditions. Of course there were spinners. Unfortunately, Markus Winkelhock tipped into a spin there, got it back going. This is the moment where Christopher Haas in the Santalot Racing Audi went down the inside and took the smile off the faces of WRT. You can see Vincent Voss shaking his head as the position changed, looping round from Andrea Caldarelli. That would earn him punishment as well. Then it came to the time of the pit stops. Even the pit stop was very, very slippery. Out onto the track they went again. Drivers changed to the second pairings, and there the unfortunate departure of the 63 Lamborghini. You can see the mechanic trying to get out of the working lane, but he was still there when the car was moving away, so a drive-through penalty really wrecked the chances in the second race. And unfortunately, possibly with the flat tyre deflating, Piti Bierenbakti down to the next corner, round he looped into the gravel, and with the Ferrari sitting there, the safety car had to be used until it was cleared away. When the safety car withdrew, Michael Meadows streaked away at the front of the field, but Hubert Haupt just could not build on the work that Lukas Stolz had done in the Black Falcon. Mercedes started falling back down the field. He kept on falling, much to the distress of Lukas Stolz. Eventually would go all the way down to 12th place. The Audi's looking fantastic over the curves. Little bit of a slip up there, and unfortunately for Christopher Mies and Alex Riberos, their loss of position. Then Dries van Tor going for a spin. No problems at all though for the 88 crew, and Michael Meadows and Raffaele Marciello taking maximum points to go equal top in the championship. You can see how delighted Meadows was when he got out of the car, and Raffaele Marciello dispensing the champagne on the podium. The number 1 Audi has had the most fantastic season. That's why it comes to the Nurburgring for the final round in the championship lead. A series of podium positions were followed by 2 wins, both wins at Misano for Alex Riberos and his teammate Christopher Mies. Will they build on that here at the Nurburgring? They're going to have to make sure they take the championship title. Let's see if they can.
Obviously the plan is to finish in front of the other guys, of the Mercedes guys. Yeah, we came to Budapest with 20 points advantage. We left with 0. So it didn't go to plan, but obviously this is my home track. This is where I've done the most laps of my career. I live just 1 hour from here, so I really want to take this momentum, feel being in home soil and take as many points as possible from the other guys away and finish in front.
In the Pro-Am class, Santalot Racing has a toe in the pond because Niels Stevenart and Markus Winkelhock have had a really good season. They've come on strong. 4 class wins out of the last 5 races in their battle with the TP12 Ferrari crew. Will they win it this weekend?
I have done really many laps at Nürburgring, that's sure. Niels never has done 1 lap. It's his first time on the Nürburgring. So we watched a lot of onboard laps before we went on track, then we did like a track walk, and now after the first free practice session, there was some good data to look at after the first session, and I think he's doing well. I think the Audi is normally pretty good at Nürburgring, and at the end, we just shouldn't do any mistakes, clear racing, and then I think everything should be possible this weekend.
The pressure is really on for the TP12 Kessel Racing Ferrari crew of Piti Bierenbakti and Carlo Van Dam. They've led the Pro-Am honours all season, but they come here to the Nürburgring with only 3.5 points advantage over the chasing Santalot Audi crew. But Piti Bierenbakti is excited.
Yeah, last year I'm new to all of the tracks, so my confidence is not that high. But this year is repeating of all the tracks. I have a lot more confidence. As well, the highlight of our team, I think this year we did not miss any podium, and I think in terms of my pace, I did a lot better than last year. So just continue doing the good job.
In third place for overall Sprint Cup honours are the 63 Lamborghini crew of Christian Engelhardt and Mirko Bortolotti. They've taken 2 wins, but their season has been full of ups and downs. Can they come good this weekend?
Nurburgring is always a special place to race. It's not just because of the layout, but also because of the weather, because you never know what's going to happen. As it looks now, it should stay dry for the rest of the weekend, but you never know at the Nurburgring, and it's always good to have the last race of the season here. We won the endurance race 2 years ago in this place, so we got good memories at this track, and we are in the title fight. So yeah, never say never. We have a chance, and we will go for it. We will fight for it, and the aim is to win the championship.
It's been a great season for Tempto Racing since they moved across to running Audis this year. They took victory in one of the opening races at Zolder, and Stijn Schothorst and Kelvin van der Linde are a super strong pairing. Fourth on the championship, looking for more victories here in the final round.
I like this track a lot. I've had my last year I've had my first GT3 race here, and it went quite well. Kelvin, my teammate, is very experienced on this track as well. So I think we're in a good position. We're sort of in the underdog position, but I think that's a good thing for us. We don't have much to lose. We can only go forward, and that's our aim. Historically seen, the Audi's been always quite good on the Nurburgring, so I'm hoping for this year it's the same. The BOP seems quite decent for us. It's really cool to be racing so many professional drivers, and I'm very proud to be able to match with them and occasionally beat them as well. And that's what we're here for, and that's what we're planning to do.
A driver pairing that's really, really on the up. It's got the momentum. It's the 88 ACA ASP Mercedes crew of Raffaele Marciello and Michael Meadows. Came good with second and first places to move equal with the championship leading number 1 Audi at the Hungaroring. Will they deliver this weekend? It's really finely poised.
Relatively confident, I think. When you come to a race in Blancpain, you can never be fully confident because it's a really tough championship, but we need to maximise our package and then see where we end up. I think the Audi is going to be fast, so there's a few more of them, so we've got to fight our way through them.
It's been a fantastic season for the ACA ASP pairing that runs in the Silver Cup class. Nico Bastian and Jack Manchester, they already have the championship in the bag, completing their season's real work at the Hungaroring last time out. So here it's a glory ride at the Nurburgring, and they're looking for a really, really top result against the full pro honours. Let's hear from Nico Bastian.
The plan is to get points because we are still fighting for the overall Silver Cup Championship. So Hubert Haupt is here, who wants to steal the trophy. So that's why we need to look after him, to be ahead of him, or at least not to lose so many points. And it's his home track as well, and it will be tight for sure. So we try to find a lot of points here to have a good advantage for Barcelona, because for sure the overall championship is very nice to get as well.
So we've just heard the interviews from the drivers vying for championship honours, and as you look out over the Nürburgring, you can see a day that started with bright blue skies and sunshine has cloud coming over. It's relatively high cloud, and I don't think it's going to have a role to play in this race. Track temperature, we saw 25 degrees this morning, and it's tumbled down to below 21. Humidity, though, that has come back down. So for John Watson and me, Bruce Jones, I think we're set fair for 1 hour of prodigious racing. There's so much to play for. This is the penultimate race of the championship, the final race tomorrow morning. And for the Emil Frey Lexus team, their number 14 Lexus is on the front row of the grid, dreaming of a podium result. If they can get their first win of the championship, they will be super made up, especially after yesterday. They were all over the place in practice, couldn't find it. Now waiting for the lights to go green, looking up the starting gantry, the cars coming into the final corner, the right-hand hairpin onto the start and finish straight in their pairs, 10 pairs, 2x2 formation. They come around to the final corner. Lights on the gantry are red, waiting for them to go green. They won't. Now the cars are on the start finish straight. There are the green lights. Who's made the better stop? I fancy the number 1 Audi's made a belter. It's right under the tail. Alex Ribero's right under the tail of Mirko Bortolotti, but nose in front around the outside, but he's going to have to back off. Is Costa coming up the inside? Christopher Haase running out of circuit. Fourth becomes 6th, 7th, 8th, and I think the number 2 Audi with Will Stevens was inveigled to go off the circuit as well. Good to see in the middle of the pack. The 88 Mercedes has not put a foot wrong. Michael Meadows trying to gain ground and certainly looking very positive. Nico Bastian up into 3rd place for ACA ASP, going up the inside of Albert Costa, who's on the wrong position for turn 4 and is pushed back down to 4th place. Could be a place gained by Ezekiel Perez Compact, because driving on the grass is not the best way to go, John.
No, getting 3 into turn 5 will not work, but good start by the Lamborghini, consolidated its grid. The Lexus got a little bit elbowed back in third place, but the battle with Nico Bastian and the 90 Mercedes, clearly Bastian sees an opportunity to seize another position. Lexus goes very defensive, goes way out to the right-hand side of the track, then comes back to the left, breaking down into turn 8. So group of 4 cars, and they are all nose to tail. Where is Michael Meadows? There he is.
I think he might have lost one, but what's happening is the first 2 cars are getting away, so Alex Riberas is doing everything he can to at least put maximum points in the pots in today's race, but it's only 8 points for victory today. It's 25 for victory tomorrow. Come on, May, he's got to get on the podium. He's got to keep that car in the hunt, and Michael Meadows down in, we think actually is still in 10th place. He's going to see what he can pick up. Pro-Am class leader just going out of shot. It's Piti Birambakti. And behind it's some quite robust stuff. We've already seen, I think, Niels Stevenart pushed out over the side of the circuit. He stays back on, and it's tidy. So the 2 runners from the Sansalok Audi that started with Simon Gachet and Christopher Haas from 4th place. We saw it going deep into the first corner, going wide, took another Audi with it, which we think was Will Stevens. So they've lost a bit of ground, but certainly Mirko Bortolotti did absolutely everything right.
Here we see again, look, the 3rd car, that front 3 cars gets down the inside. The Lexus just simply overruns, partly because the Lamborghini likewise overrun and took the Lexus with it, and that's what really opened up the opportunity for Alex Riberas to get up the inside and try and get as close to the back of the Lamborghini as he had been as he came down into turn 1. And now there's Nico Bastian, who momentarily gets the Mercedes ahead of the Lexus, but on the wrong part of the racetrack and being effectively pushed right out onto the grass. Then coming through down the hill to turn 6, the field just makes its way side by side, and back to the action.
Back to the action, still with Mirko Bortolotti leading the way from Alex Riberas. Albert Costa holding down 3rd for Lexus. Nico Bastian leading the Silver Cup. We've already got the Sprint Cup, Silver Cup, if you will, title in his pocket, shared with Jack Manchester. He's running 4th, he's got ahead.
As Gottfried Grasser looks intently down at timing and scoring. Focus on the gap between 1st and 2nd now, 1.6 seconds to the advantage of the 63 Lamborghini. On board with Michael Meadows. I mean, you can see a lot of amount of steering correction that he's having to input into and making an adjustment down to the side of his leg. I don't know if there's a brake adjustment or not, but anyway, he's got Norbert Siedler directly behind him, and in that last lap, Norbert Siedler was 0.7 of a second quicker than Michael Meadows, who of course himself is boxed in with traffic ahead. There is Ezekiel Perez Compact being chased by the 66 Steinhorst, and that's a battle that has been developing. Just 1.1 seconds
the Rinaldi Racing Ferrari has taken a tumble. Oh dear!
Big, and that's going to be
hit the back of Piti Birambakti, the Pro-Am class leader.
Straight into the back of him. That's going to be a momentary, certainly be a full course yellow initially, then it'll ultimately go to a safety car. So that was
unfortunate.
2 Pro-Am drivers getting together, and that's going to take a minute or 2. That car has got to be removed by a recovery vehicle. You can see the right rear suspension completely misaligned, as is the bodywork.
So as they stand, Alex Riberas and Christian Mies, Riberas still at the wheel in 2nd place on the track. They will take 86 points, or end up on 86 if they finish. Bortolotti and Engelhardt will now move ahead of Marcello and Meadows into 2nd place. There they are leading the race. Engelhardt waiting to take over in the 2nd part of the race. And Meadows not in the points, he's down in 11th place on the track. Marcello, we've seen him in the pit garage, he'll be very frustrated indeed. It looks like they're not going to get points in this race. The lights on the roof of the safety car should be out. It's coming in this lap. Think about the restart, Mirko. Mirko will be thinking of nothing else. But also, it could be another place possibly gained by Ezekiel Perez Compact. Very good at the start of the race. He's 5th in that train of cars, and that could really help.
Watch the 63 car when it comes out of the chicane, it will go. There he is, he's on it. And he tried to get a jump on the Audi and the Lexus.
It's a big gap, though, between Jamin and Meadows. That's what I was talking about. It seemed to go out, so Meadows needed to be right under the tail of his teammate. Look, there's a gap behind the red Mercedes. Then comes the yellow and black one. That's the car that was in equal lead of the championship. Not looking for points this afternoon at the current rate, but Bortolotti controls the restart. The first 4 runners have it nice and plain. In fact, the only challenge is coming Will Stevens down the inside of Stein Schotthorst. So Schotthorst was actually slightly asleep to that. So advantage and full points there to Will Stevens for really getting his head switched on. Very nice. Very good exit from the final corner from the Albert Costa Lexus, but just being super defensive. Covered on the inside by Riberas.
Watch the undercut, Bruce. There's going to be an opportunity for the Lexus to get alongside. Alex Riberas just was able to get on the throttle enough to keep that, but again, the Lexus looking to go up the inside, coming down into turn 3. Can he stick the nose? He's been able to use a lot of the inside of turn 3 on previous laps, but now again wrong-footed, so you're swinging one way or the other, trying to find the undercut. Next opportunity down the inside into turn 5, being covered by Alex Riberas, but this time the Lexus almost alongside coming in, but again wrong part of the racetrack for turn 6. And Alex Riberas, the first of what we've seen of the callers into the pit lane, so the second place, and also Ezekiel Perez at the Audi. So 4 cars again. Michael Meadows not unreasonably making his way. It's going to be a busy pit lane. A lot of people coming in earlier than I thought, but this stop I hadn't anticipated. Alex Riberas, he's going to be handing over the car to Christopher Mies, who we know can do a miracle, or can perform miracles, not do a miracle, perform miracles when he's called upon. Michael Meadows getting a lot of flashing headlights from the second of the 2 Lexus. He can't go any quicker than the speed limit there, Raffaele Marcello. But here is the car that was in second place, stops the board that says we stop here. So Christopher Mies helping get Alex Riberas out, and then the favour being returned. Likewise, the 88 Mercedes. Raffaele Marcello. It's going to be a battle of the pit stops to see who can get the cars down and rolling, get that wheel and tower across the white line before you roll. Oh, and both cars get rolling, but the benefit to the Audi was it was at the end of the pit lane, and now the 88's got 2 cars between him and that number 1 Audi, and that will, again, look, the Lexus running behind. What's he flashing his lights for? It's a speed limit in the pit lane.
Yes, as if Raffaele Marcello just was choosing to go slowly and lose time the opposition. Of course he wasn't, but it's about half the field that came in for the pit stops. Bortolotti comes in, and again, that's earlier than we expected,
earlier,
John.
But maybe they're looking at saying, where will, not just about when we make our pit stop, more critically, where will we fall back into the field? And what they're considering is the pace of the number 1 Audi, which was the first of the pit stoppers. They will want to get this car back out and be ahead of the number 1 Audi when it comes round at the end of its first flying lap.
So the leader on the track now is the number 55 Audi, and at the wheel of that we've got Peter Schotthorst right under his rear wing, Nico Jamin in the 87 Mercedes. But all eyes on the 63 Lamborghini's pit stop. Out hops Mirko Bortolotti, in clambers Christian Engelhardt. Of course, we want to see where it comes back out onto the circuit. It should be ahead of the number 1 Audi, and when that one comes around.
Bruce, more critically, Grasser Racing will be aware of the error that occurred. Car's down, no problems this time, so the car will be rolling. Slowish getaway for Christian Engelhardt. He's not too far from pit lane exit. There is the Audi coming down. He has to wait until they get on full throttle. He's now on full throttle. So they've consolidated, but by the time they get into turn 1, the gap between first and second place is going to be more or less the gap prior to them going into the pit stop.
But who's set now the fastest first sector of anyone? It's the other car that came here leading the championship. Christopher Mies, the number 1 Audi, has just gone even faster in the very long first sector. Great to have the Lexus in the mix, but the car that is going to be leading the race when Nico Bastian has finally come in from leading the race in the number 90 Mercedes. John, you enjoyed that getaway.
Lexus leading the race because it's on the pit lane now, waiting to see it's coming down. Again, they've got these lights flashing. I don't know whether it's an automatic Mirko Bortolotti, and they're going to be coming out in 3rd place. First 2 go through cleanly now. The Lexus makes its way out. It's got
Well, he might come out behind the 19 Lamborghini, so he's lost a lot of ground.
Caldarelli will be following up as quickly as possible. Runs a little bit deep, and Caldarelli can get up alongside, and can he make it the long way around turn 2? Remember, fresh rubber on the Lexus and different feel.
Dries Van Thor fancies a bit of the action in the number 2.
Caldarelli gets past.
That was very, very defensively done. And there we go, Van Thor was on it. He's on the wrong line as they go to turn 4. He'll have to cede position. Back in 5th, but he gets a better exit, running wide off the circuit, trying to get heat into his tyres, but you don't get so much over there. Number 14, Lexus holding on to 4th, but only just. They dive down into turn 5. Van Thor had a look, showed his intent, and all along behind they've got another Schotthorst looking to get in on the action. But the big question to me, 11th place was the position listed for Raffaele Marcello. That's the position the car came in from, but last lap he was the fastest driver of all in this race. He's got to get himself uncorked.
Dries Van Thor going to give Christian Klein a good old workout.
Here is the lead battle coming into the background. In fact, he could almost get out ahead of them. No, not quite. Of course, it's much longer to the pit
It's late now,
exit.
so the 2 lead cars are coming through.
It's going
Jack
to 3rd.
Manchester is going to slot into 3rd position ahead of Andrea Caldarelli. In the meantime, fastest race lap has now been to Dries Van Thor, 155.688. Best overall first and second sector. Stunning lap altogether, and that car currently number 2, Audi in 6th place.
Wow, that is one heck of a lap. So out into third position goes Jack Manchester on his 20th birthday.
As we go up the hill, and a pass almost from Nico Bastian. Not quite able to get it done, but up the inside.
He tried to fight back. Cordarelli just gone past him. Unfortunately, car 37 is off track and has stopped at turn 12. So third place, fourth place, fifth place, very tight indeed. Another change of position.
Ahead of Bastian.
So out of Manchester, Manchester's taken it over. So Dries van Tor up into fourth place and said he could have a role to play in this race. So as they stand, if the race stopped now, Alex Riberas and Chris Vermees, they're second on the track. 86 points. That will give them a 10-point lead. Raffaele Marcello and Michael Meadows will stay back. They move back into second place, and Mirko Bortolotti and Christian Langenhardt into third. That's how they were before the start of the race. But before the start of the race, Riberas and Marcello and Meadows were equal on points. This hasn't been a great run for the number 88 Mercedes. There it is, yellow Mercedes. It's just gained a position, got past Adam Christodoulou. I don't know if that was a give or not, but they are teammates after all. So hunting down a point, but not in them yet. Certainly it's been disappointing for Marcello and Meadows. We've just, I thought we just had a place change. In fact, we have. Jack Manchester has dropped back down 3 positions. He's let the Lexus come through, Christian Klein. He's got Kelvin van der Linde, and now Raffaele Marcello 1 position away from the points. No, 2 positions. Yeah, 1 position away from the points, up to 7th place. He's hunting down van der Linde all over again.
Crossing everything in the pit lane to get this 88 Mercedes to get it into the point scoring. Even if they get just 1 point, remember they'll get another point from pole position for Sunday's.
But they didn't. They got. Remember, they got pipped right at the end. Lucas stole that point.
Indeed, you're right.
The Black Falcon. Right. So it might just seem like 1 point, but they all add up. And certainly getting very, very tight in the midfield order there. Great to see Pierre Caffer in the 55 Attempto Racing Audi. He's just behind the red Adam Christodoulou Mercedes that's tucked in behind Jack Manchester. But the good thing for the ACA ASP team is the fact that Raffaele Marcello has moved up closer to the points. The points come 8, 6, 4, 2, 1 for the top 6 finishers today. Tomorrow the points all go all the way down to 10th place, but this is the one you've just got to pick up points in.
And still harrying Kelvin van der Linde in the Audi, looking to make a move up the inside. Van der Linde has to go defensive into the final turn. That might give an opportunity for Marcello to make the pass down the inside and the exit. He's going to be in the pound seat when it comes getting down the straight, pit straight into turn 1. Van der Linde closing the 2 cars, almost door handle to door handle as they come down pit straight.
He'd already made the move. He was 0.011 of a second, 11 thousandths of a second ahead on the start-finish line, but importantly, he had the position for the first corner. He's run a little bit wide, should be able to squeeze back over. So, place gain, well done. It's getting quite interesting down towards the tail of the field. We've got various drivers moving up after the early incidents. Christopher Haas is picking up positions. He was 13th. I think he's just gone up to 12th. He's got Franks right with him as well. Jack Manchester falling back down the order a little bit now. Can't match the pace. These drivers have been racing GT3 cars for years. This is his first season since racing Radicals, and only his second full season of racing, so doing a good job. But when the pros start coming through, they get through. Fritz in the grey car in the middle of the screen, and Christopher Haas as close as you can get, and then some perhaps. Down the inside goes Haas. He's had a very good end to his season. Whereas Raffaele Marcello will start on the front row. We're riding with Marcello now, John. What are we seeing?
Down through turn 12, down the hill through the flat-out King at 13. The Lexus has come alive this weekend. I mean, it's struggled on Friday. On the inside, Dries van Thorn pushes. Oh, now that was clumsy. Caldarelli either wasn't using his mirrors or chose to ignore. Didn't need to make that contact. The Audi was clearly alongside. You can see the reaction from the team, the Grasser Racing team. They're disappointed in it.
Well, all this could actually, if they carry on like this, suddenly become very good news for Raffaele Marcello, and very, very bad news indeed for the number 1 Audi crew. They're running second in the race.
Is the rear wing on the Audi damaged? I thought it looked like there's a bit of a movement, a wobble on it, but Caldarelli not at all impressed with that move by Dries van Thorn. And I think he's, to put it bluntly, his dander is up.
I think so too. Warning flag, black and white warning flag. Let's take a look at the
okay.
He's late.
It's a late move, but by the time they get into the corner, they're just about wheel to wheel. In fact, he's ahead. Caldarelli, in fairness, had begun his turn in, and Dries van Thorn had no option. He was just going to go straight. So the contact occurred. I think they may feel that was, initially my reaction was that Caldarelli was at fault, but he had committed to turning in.
Here's the first of the Lexus, that is Christian Klein in 5th place overall. This will be this car's best result this year. But who's behind him? Raffaele Marcello, the driver who, as soon as he got in the car, started breaking the lap record. And Marcello is desperate for every point he can get, and the intent is plain to be seen.
Watch again to see if he can do the same as he did to the Audi a little while ago. Calvin van der Linde got the pace off the corner, accelerating just bit by bit. It's like a couple of trucks on the motorway, barely able to pass one another, but the Mercedes has the momentum, but more importantly, has track position coming down into turn one. Christian Klein unable to come back this time. Raffaele Marcello does not need to overrun the corner. A number of laps ago he went wide trying to get past the 66 Audi and paid the penalty. Now he's found himself up into 5th place.
Now a replay going up the inside of the Lexus. When they crossed the start-finish line, the gap between them was smaller than the blink of an eye. But coming down, of course, you're going to brake as late as you possibly can. Listen to this as he gets into the braking zone.
Well, I mean, he's using engine braking brakes to brake. I mean, there wasn't a lot left in the tank in terms of getting the Mercedes slowed down. The key for that overtake was, again, the exit of turn 16.
So here we are, the Sprint Cup overall at the moment. As they stand, Ribeiras and Mies, the number 1 Audi, will finish with 86 points if they cross the line. The gap is coming down and is now down to 7.5 points over Marcello and Meadows as Marcello continues to advance. I don't think there's going to be any further moves. Bortolotti and Engelhardt will end the day 3rd overall as they started it, but they will of course have gained because they're leading the race on the 2 rival teams of Ribeiras and Maurice in the number 1 Audi and Marcello and Meadows in the black and yellow Mercedes number 88. Dries van Tor will move up to 4th place overall. Christian Engelhardt sitting on a 3-second advantage as he goes on to the final lap. Turn 12 for the last time at racing speed. Gottfried, come on, practice your smiling. I think you'll have good reason to do so. Through the kink at turn 13, that advantage of 3 seconds. Not looking as though it's coming down. Christian Engelhardt will just have to concentrate a tiny bit more. Mirko Bortolotti cracks into a smile. Yeah, this is job done. Up to the chicane for the final time with no one under his rear wing. Christian Engelhardt can have a slightly conservative exit. Come into turn 16, the final corner, the right-hand hairpin. Gottfried Grasser on the radio to Christian Engelhardt. And victory in the bag. It's their 3rd win. The cheers for the GRT Grasser racing team, punching the air. They could yet win the Sprint Cup title. They came in as the outsider. 5 crews could have taken victory in the championship. And now I think it's probably down to 3 crews who can do that. We'll do the maths a little bit later, but they are still in the mix. And there's Raffaele Marcello, who came here equal in the championship lead. He's recovered from the car being in 11th at the pit stop changeover. He's come through in 5th place. So it's going to be tight for tomorrow, but the top 3 runners are still in the battle. And look how the field is almost nose to tail as it completes the final lap. 29 laps completed. We had the period behind the safety car, or we would have had more. But let's go down into the winners area because John Watson has got there and he's talking to our winners, Mirko Bortolotti and Christian Engelhardt.
Mirko, I suppose you could describe your drive today as a beautiful drive, and everything went perfectly.
Yes, I had a good quali first of all, so we managed to get an extra point this morning with a pole position for race 1. I had a great start. It was quite tricky in turn 1 because you never know where to brake actually, because it's quite slippery and offline. So I managed to get it quite okay, but I went a little bit further than I expected, but I managed to keep my position. And after that, I just tried to go my pace, defend my position as much as I could. And yeah, it was a great first stint, great race from the whole team, and yeah, I'm super happy to be back on the top step, and yeah, huge thanks everyone. Perfect day for us.
Okay. Christian, you got the car in the lead, but it wasn't really a walk on the park to the flag, was it?
No, definitely not. Of course, it's always good when you get the car in first position. Mirko did an awesome job in qualifying already this morning. But it was quite tight with the safety car. We didn't have a big lead, and we also didn't have the pace to pull a gap. So yeah, I got in the car and I immediately had Mies behind. So it wasn't easy pushing all the way to the flag. At the end I could go away a little bit, but I think yeah, it was not easy today. We're proud for the whole team.
So here, after 29 laps, victory to the 63 Lamborghini team. Mirko Bortolotti, Christian Engelhardt, Alex Ribeiras and Christopher Mies. Really important race for their championship. They knew they couldn't take the lead, so they stayed in 2nd place and gathered the points for that to just under 3 seconds down. Will Stevens, their teammate, and Dries van Tor in the number 2 Audi coming home 3rd after getting past the Ezekiel Perez compact, Andrea Caldarelli Lamborghini. But the driver who made the moves was Raffaele Marcello, took over in 11th place and moved up to 5th place to take the points that go with that. Very important indeed. And the winning crew get the giant trophies for victory. Trophies big enough to match their smiles. So the stage is set for the final race of the 2018 Blancpain Sprint Cup. We started the season long ago at Zolder. And this is the 10th race at the 5th round, the final round. We came to this meeting with 5 crews that could take the overall title, and one driver on his own could make it to the top. Now we're down to just 2 crews. Temperature, nearly 28 degrees track temperature. Humidity continues to drop, which is very good news indeed. But we do have news as well, because it's now down to just 2 crews that can take the overall title. Because after yesterday's race, Christian Engelhardt was found to have his hands harnessed not under the straps of his seatbelts, and they were given a 30-second penalty, and that has dropped them out of the reckoning down to 13th place from yesterday's victory, which cost them. And since then, there's been a sporting and technical infringement, and they have been disqualified from the meeting. So now it's down to the battle between Alex Riberas and Christopher Mies in the number 1 Audi versus Raffaele Marcello and Michael Meadows in the 88 ACA Mercedes. So let's take a look at the starting grid. It's the Black Falcon Mercedes, with Lucas Stoltz at the wheel, starting from pole. Raffaele Marcello alongside, gunning for championship honours. Then Dries van Tor on the inside of row 2 alongside Christopher Haas, who's having a fantastic end of his season. Carlo Van Dam trying to do everything to take that Pro-Am title for Kessel Racing alongside Kelvin van der Linde. Then Robin Friens, he's also going to maybe help play a role for Team WRT. But I tell you what, John, my eyes, the lights go green on the number 2 Audi. It's tucked in behind Lucas Stoltz. You can hardly see it. The blue Mercedes starting from pole positions, already just fallen behind, just half a body length ahead. No better on the braking. Lucas Stoltz is going to take the lead into the first corner, or keep the lead going around the outside, but hopefully not too far off the circuit. Is Raffaele Marcello. Has he been passed? Yes, the nose is in front of the number 2 Audi, but he's on the outside line, so Marcello moves back into second place, trying to gain places and not have any body damage. Looks as though there's a lot of light on our screen. Looks as though number 2 Audi got pushed a little bit wide there, and Christopher Haas came into the mix as well. But what we can tell you is Lucas Stoltz is leading the race. A few cars helping each other off the track in the midfield. Lucas Stoltz leading for Raffaele Marcello. Waved yellow flags in the background. 3rd place, Christopher Haas. 4th place, really good start from Kelvin van der Linde. Where is that number 2 Audi? And good to see the number 1 Audi, the championship leader, is still in the mix, but it got very, very tight in there.
Yeah, the number 1 Audi's role is to basically finish 4th or higher at the end of 1 hour, and that might seem a relatively straightforward task, but the difficulty here at Nurburgring is, as ever, is finding a way around the car that you're following. And you get too close, then you get losing your downforce, you lose your front end grip, and then you have to wait until there is damage to that Audi, and that was coming through turn 3 into turn 4. We saw a car go off track, and that is the result of it, a punctured tyre, and goodness knows, probably bodywork damage as well.
Well, really unfortunate for Dries van Tor. He was trying his utmost for the team as well as for himself, and his teammate Will Stevenson was trying to challenge for second place. He was pushed a little wide in his battle with Raffaele Marcello through turn 2, was making up ground, lost ground. He was then making up ground between 3 and 4 where it all went wrong.
I don't think Raffaele Marcello is going to get too stressed about running currently in second place, principally because the number 6 Mercedes is in the Silver Cup. Herbert Haupt will not run at the same pace that we know that Michael Meadows can do. So while it is great to see the number 6 leading this race, in effect, by the time we get the round of pit stops and driver changes, the likely balance will favour the 88 Mercedes rather than the number 6.
There's the tyre change, the wheel change after the puncture on the opening lap for Dries van Tor, straight back into the race. He is stone last. Okay, let's have a look at Audi 2 going wide. He just had the contact with the yellow and grey Mercedes of Raffaele Marcello. Christopher Haas starting to challenge and coming into the corner behind Cordarelli, back to about 7th place. Now, what happened as they went into turn 4, which was the car that went wide? Well, number 2 goes wide, possibly because he's already got a puncture, the puncture on the other side. And he hits one of the tyres already well down. Sure. He already hits the Seidler car. Delighted to say, message on screen saying no further action for the collision at turn 2, the side-by-side rub between Raffaele Marcello's Mercedes and the number 2 Audi of Dries van Tor.
I mean, Dries van Tor had the pace off turn 1. He got up along, in fact, he got fractionally ahead of the number 88 Mercedes. But the difficulty is if you're on the outside, the car on the inside, the 88 was always going to be drifting out. It's very hard to hold that car in, and the inevitable contact. I'm not clear whether that contact led to the tyre being cut down. I think it might have occurred on turn 4 where it got a bit more messy, but anyway, the point of it all is it meant a pit stop for the number 1, the number 2.
Now, one thing that's just been noticeable over the past few laps is that Robin Friens, who's just ahead of Adam Christodoulou, his pace has dropped off. Naturally, he's a bit faster. Now that's an assist, and he's lost a bit of his rear wing accordingly. I think if you're talking about sporting infractions, that is very naughty indeed from Robin Friens. Of course, he wants to help his teammate, but that was blatant. I think that was really remarkably unfair. Yeah, well, I've nailed my colours to the mast on that one.
But you have to say, that was a team working as a team.
And let's take a look at them coming down the start of his straight. Robin Frietz had dropped off the tail of Andrea Caldarelli, so he dropped his pace. Then he's put himself straight in front of Adam Christodoulou in the red Mercedes.
Did he brake?
I think he might have braked a little early.
I think he certainly braked really heavily at the point when they're in the braking zone, because Adam Christodoulou was on his brakes. But clearly the Audi looked to me to be slowing down, but we wait and see what the judgment will be on that particular incident.
Warning flag for driving stand-ups, as we call them here. But the job has been done. He's got a little bit of rear bodywork damage. You can see where the front of the Mercedes hit the left rear of the number 17 Audi, all being watched from the pit wall by Brains Trust of Team WRT. ACA ASP not too happy in their camp either. So let's take a look at the points. Marcello and Meadows 93.5, Riberas and Mies now 93.5, but they have 3 wins, and even if Marcello and Meadows wins this afternoon, they will only go to 2. So the team currently listed as second will actually take the championship.
Oh, look at that. Well, that's an interesting bit of advertising for Pirelli. They'll like all that.
Yes, well, that's been found by young Ricardo Feller, who's starting from number 3 Audi from the 6th row. Had a fairly good run early in the race. He's down in 14th position, and he's found a little bit of something extra for his performance.
I'll tell you what, if he doesn't come in very quickly, he's going to find his engine overheating and possibly doing severe damage to it. So there's a Svej Smoky, and that's the number 3.
The number 3 one.
What did I say?
Well, it's completely overheated, as you predicted, John.
The thing is just boiling like the proverbial pressure cooker, and that's the result of driving around with that piece of advertising. Cars now making their way into the pit lane.
Well, maybe they thought they could do one further lap. Maybe the team didn't quite see it in time.
Christopher Mies is in, as is Adam Christodoulou. So the number 1 Audi already in the pit lane. That's an early stop. Maybe a good move from WRT to get that car out of the group of cars directly ahead. So the number 1 car makes its way. It's the last pit box in the pit lane.
Well, it gives us a clear visual, John, because Christodoulou in on the same lap. They weren't actually that close, or being held up by Andrea Caldarelli in the number 19 Lamborghini, but it's a tactical move, this. So Christopher Mies, his championship is run. It's now in the hands of his teammate, the Spaniard Alex Riberas, slotted on board. And after the misdemeanors yesterday with the straps, all drivers will be checking when they strap their teammate in that the hands device is covered by the harness.
Yeah, and more importantly, a set of brand new sticker tires. The Mercedes, that is the ASP.
He's gained about 3 or 4 seconds on Adam Christodoulou's car, which is now being driven, the 87 car, by Nico Jamin, very impressive young French driver. So Dries Van Tor back into the pits for a second time. Of course, he came in. You can see the anger, slams the door. He wasn't happy about that puncture on the opening lap.
25 in, so that's the Christopher Haase car has come in. So that's going to be a quick turnaround for Simon Gachet. They're not in the race per se, but they could assist with further progress.
And so the 2 Mercedes, Lucas Stoltz led the way from pole position, being chased all the way by Raffaele Marciello, and they come in together. But how good are these pit stops going to be? How many more places can be gained by the number 1 Audi while they're out on the circuit? I don't think it's going to come out ahead of these 2 come down the track, but he's got to just keep his eye on the next target up the track, which is waiting for the pit stops to be finished. We've just seen Robin Frietz going back. Last few cars coming to make their calls, including the Pro-Am leader in this race.
Doesn't look like those are brand new tyres to me. They look like they've had a run. So the 88 comes down off the jacket, can't go until everybody's behind that yellow line, so it's rolling. So where's the number 6? It's sitting still up on its jack. So is this a pass? Again, it's a free pass in effect for the 88. Now it comes out behind. So good job by the ACA ASP team. Black Falcon a little bit behind in terms of overall pit stop time, and that's going to give the lead effectively now to Michael Meadows. It's his job, it's his race to win, but it's his championship to lose potentially.
Now it's a question of how many places can be gained. In 5th at the moment, the number 1 Audi needs to be 4th.
Go off the inside into turn 11, but wasn't really far enough up to make it a viable. Now coming through turn 12 up the inside again.
Here's Chris Reinker of Audi, just coming out to have a little talk to Vincent Boss. But look, the clock on the top of the screen, it's tumbling down, just under 16 minutes remaining, so negotiations are going to have to be very rapid indeed. The gaps continue to come down. Riberas and Stotthorst, well, they're catching the overall race leaders, but right now it's just about this one position that really counts. Now, what has been masked in all of this, we came into this race meeting with 5 crews that could take the overall championship, but the progress through the year and through this meeting, almost masked by all of the comings and goings at the top of the table, is the consistent improvement from the 66 crew that's holding down 4th place. They could finish this championship in 3rd place. They'll move ahead of the 63 Lamborghini crew, who are out of it disqualified from this meeting, and that is why they're hanging on so hard to that 4th place.
Absolutely right to do so.
Well, the longer it goes on, the longer Chris Riker is going to have to try and work out how he can separate the warring parties. With a smile.
He's enjoying it. He's actually enjoying this battle. Audi are going to be wondering whether there will be any cooperation between the respective outfits, the Tempter Racing and WRT.
Raffaele Marciello still staring at the screens. His car is most likely heading for victory. Adam Christodoulou offers his comments from a side. So things getting closer and closer. Hubert Hounds, he's going to try and get right onto the tail of Michael Meadows. Wake up, Michael. I know he's got it under control, but 1.2 seconds became 0.9. It's now become 0.65 of a second. And imagine, as we have these confusions between the Audis, who's going to help who is not going to help who. Certainly if the Black Falcon Mercedes, a dive up the inside, the door has been left open by Stein Schotthorst. I think the word may have been had, because he wouldn't have been caught napping like that, but he's fighting back, so maybe he was simply half asleep. But it was a brave dive, but don't forget that was the very corner where the number 2 Audi had a clash side by side and picked up a puncture in the first lap of the race. Down the inside comes Riberas. He's got desperate. He's pushed the 66 car wide. Was the contact? I do not know, but certainly I can't understand why it was all so easy down at turn 1. But again, Stein Schotthorst fights back. Maybe this is for real. Let's hope it is. And certainly Alex Riberas is doing his utmost. Now the corner goes Riberas' way, because they've got to go to their left. So Schotthorst is going to be pushed wide out of turn 5. Ezekiel Perez Compang's car with Andrea Calderosari is getting closer and closer. The Lamborghini could mix this up as well if he goes past Alex Riberas. Oh, Raffaele Marciello thinks they've survived that one. Has the Lamborghini gone past? Certainly the 66 Audi still in front, and he's passed both of them, so down into 6th place. But Stein Schotthorst has made a few little mistakes, and now I think there is possibly a puncture, because off at the bottom of the hill goes the number 1 Audi. Thierry Tassin, Vincent Voss cannot bear to look at their screens. It was a real couple of serious examples. I thought the position was being handed over, but they were brave dives from Alex Riberas. Stein Schotthorst does not know when he's beaten. Out of the gravel, desperately trying to continue. Is there a puncture? You certainly feel there must be. When he went off the bottom of the hill, Alex Riberas, cruel luck. He made 2, if not 3 moves. They slowed each other down with their fighting. The Lamborghini came up and joined in there to make things very, very complicated, but it appears simple now. The 4th place that was so desperately needed is not in the hands of Alex Riberas. He's fallen back to 6th, possibly 7th or even 8th. And there, Riberas parking up, not in the mood for celebration. What a championship this has been. Started at Zolder, went to Brands Hatch, Misano. The Hungaroring races were in the wet and now in perfect conditions at the Nurburgring. The rumbling sound of those 2 Mercedes AMGs, and importantly the one in front is the yellow and grey one, the Race Scout car from ACA ASP. Michael Meadows coming round. They won the 2nd race in the Hungaroring. They have won the 2nd race here, and with it the title for 2018. A brilliant run to 2nd place by the Black Falcon crew, and for Audi it could have been their day. It so nearly was, and you really do have to feel for Christopher Mies and for Alex Riberas. They gave it their utmost, but with that fighting, feisty, never say die 4th place for Tempter Racing. So look at the results. Half a second was the margin of victory. It could have been 0.01 of a second as far as Meadows and Marciello was concerned. They needed the win, they got the win. Great chase by Hubert Hout and Lucas Stott. Simon Gachet, Christopher Haas, they'll be on the podium in 3rd overall, just 5 seconds down. Stein Schotthorst and Kelvin van der Linde really fighting drive. They did their everything to keep the number 1 Audi behind them. The number 1 Audi that so needed that 4th place to take the title. It came to a clash, it came to a puncture. But Michael Meadows and Raffaele Marciello, the 2018 champions.
Michael, fantastic. Congratulations to you and Raffaele. What a lovely day.
Yeah, you know, the weekend looked tough after not a great qualifying for myself, but you know, we didn't make any mistakes. We kept our heads, and it's come home. You know, we've been really consistent all year, and I've just got to thank the team. They did a fantastic job all year. We've improved every race, so that's all you can ask. And obviously, Raffaele's done an unbelievable job. He's so fast, and we have a really good rapport, and everything seems to flow nicely. So, you know, it was a little bit tense. I didn't know what was going on with the 1 car, to be honest. I saw something on the screen, but I didn't know where they were. So, yeah, the radio silence was intriguing at best.
There we have it. Overall points, 98 points. So it looked like a big victory, 7.5 points at the end, but that was only in the final lap and a half that it went their way, because hunting them down, Alex Riberas knew he had to get 1 place. Golden trophies for the Golden Boys. And there is the trophy they've been aiming for, the Champions Trophy, the overall trophy for the 2018 Blancpain Sprint Cup. Raffaele Marcello has his eye on another trophy as well, the overall Blancpain GT trophy, but they will have to go down in 2 weeks' time to the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona to see if he can land that. That is it for the 2018 Sprint Cup.